A warm welcome to you. This is Aviation This Week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi. Air travel today remains safe thanks in part to accident investigation. Findings from accident investigations pave the way for changes to be made in aviation, such as recent changes to pilot duty and rest, requirements that address the pilot fatigue problem that showed up in many accident reports. These changes are preventing accidents and saving lives. The accident investigation process is fairly simple on paper, but can be complicated by intangible things like politics, legal action, and international differences, as well as physical demands such as rough terrain or post-accident damage from weather or water. On this edition, our attention is on the Malaysian Airlines MH370 flight and the search for its wreck at the bottom of the vast South Indian Ocean, days after the Malay authorities told the world the worst news, that a plane had crashed into this ocean.
On the local scene, Dana Air has commenced an implementation training initiative as part of the preliminary process to prepare the airline for the IATA Operational Safety Audit, IOSA. The training, which held in Lagos, sees Dana Air as one of 10 airlines benefiting from the IOSA Implementation Training Initiative that is 100% funded by International Airline Training Fund, a non-profit foundation whose purpose is to bridge the training gaps for airlines in regions of the world where it is most needed, with a particular focus on improving safety. The first stage of the implementation training is a gap analysis workshop, the first of 3 sessions over the next year that will give Dana Air a greater understanding of their shortcomings in relation to the IOSA standards and recommended practices, ISAPs, and will provide guidance and tools to establish action plans towards ISAP's implementation. The IOSA is an internationally accepted evaluation system designed to assess the operational management and control systems of airlines. IOSA uses internationally recognized quality audit principles, conducting audits in a standardized and consistent manner worldwide. Now to the foreign scene, where Air France-KLM has selected General Electric's engines in a deal valued at more than $1.7 billion at list prices to power a fleet of 37 Boeing 787-900s, including 12 aircraft to be leased from ILFC to be used by Air France. The order also includes an agreement allowing Air France-KLM to provide maintenance overhauls for the Jenks 1B. Air France-KLM sought a package deal with the opportunity to offer maintenance services for other airlines, but insists the performance of the engine itself was a key factor in the selection process. Air France-KLM says that 787 deliveries will begin in October of 2015 and conclude in January 2017. Staying with aircraft orders, China Aviation Supplies has placed a firm order for 43 Airbus A320s and 27 A330s during a state visit by China's President Xi Jinping to France. The mix of variants ordered and engine selections were not announced, but Airbus says that the A330 order is for long-range aircraft rather than its proposed A330 regional variant. Airbus has been pitching a lower gross weight A330 on a solution to airport congestion issues for Chinese carriers looking to boost domestic capacity. The order also coincided with Airbus and its Chinese partners signing a separate agreement to extend the life of its final assembly line China, located in Tianjin, out to 2025. Newsflash comes to a close with British Airways plc and Finnair OIJ, 2 of Europe's leading long-haul carriers, announcing their intention to begin a joint venture with Japan Airlines Company to share capacity on flights between Europe and Japan. The scheduling and pricing pacts comes as competition on long-distance routes between Europe and Asia has intensified in recent years, largely through the rapid expansion of new Middle Eastern and Asian carriers eager to take advantage of booming demand for air travel. Finnair, the smallest of the park's airlines, has been looking to better exploit the geographic advantage of having a home base near the North Pole that allows shorter flight times for travel between Northern Europe and Asia compared with east-west routes. Japan Air, Finnair and British Airways, which is a unit of International Consolidated Airlines Group, SA, received regulatory approval for the venture from Japanese authorities in October of 2013. Last month, the airlines began selling joint tickets on some routes for travel starting in April. Passengers will now be able to mix and match flights on the carriers and book and check in online using any of the airlines' websites for travel to and from Japan on any of the 3 carriers.
Aviation This Week takes a break and will return shortly.
Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 was a scheduled international passenger flight that disappeared on March the 8th, 2014, en route from Kuala Lumpur International Airport to the Beijing Capital International Airport. The aircraft, a Boeing 777-200ER, last made contact with air traffic control less than an hour after takeoff. Operated by Malaysia Airlines, the aircraft carried 12 crew members and 227 passengers from 15 nations and regions, the majority of passengers being Chinese citizens.
The search and the rescue team has yet to determine the whereabouts of MH370. We do not have any findings at this point in time. The search and rescue team has started since morning.
On the day that contact with the aircraft was lost, a joint search and rescue effort, later reported as the largest in history, was initiated in the Gulf of Thailand and the South China Sea. The search area was later extended to include the Strait of Malacca, the Andaman Sea, and the Indian Ocean. On March 15, based on military radar data and signals sent between the plane and the satellite, investigators believe that the aircraft had first headed west back across the Malay Peninsula, then continued on the northern or southern track for approximately 7 hours. Subsequently, the search was expanded to include an area north over Chinese territory and an area south of Indonesia and west of Australia. By March the 18th, 26 countries were participating in the search. 2 satellite images taken on March the 16th and 18th showed potential aircraft debris in the southern Indian Ocean, southwest of Western Australia, prompting increased search activity in that area. On March the 24th, the Malaysian government confirmed the analysis by the Air Accidents Investigation Branch, the AAIB, and Inmarsat, which concluded beyond any reasonable doubt that the aircraft had gone down in the southern Indian Ocean with no survivors.
It is therefore with deep sadness and regret that I must inform you that according to this new data, flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean. In the meantime, we wanted to inform you of this new development at the earliest opportunity. We share this information out of a commitment to openness and respect for the families.
Since March the 22nd, there has been almost daily sightings of marine debris in the search area made by various countries' satellites. However, none of the photographed objects have been positively confirmed as belonging to the missing aircraft.
Welcome back. On March 15, 2008, a Wings Aviation Beechcraft 1900D crashed around the Obudu area of Cross River State, Nigeria, killing all 3 crew members. On our interview segment, Aviation This Week sits with one of the investigators of that accident and the Director of Engineering at the Accident and Investigation Bureau, Engineer Emannuel Diala. It tells us the search for the MH370 wreck will take a while, as the body of water into which this aircraft plunged may also pose a lot of hindrance to the accident investigation process. I know that you're an accident investigator. What exactly is the role of the Accident Investigation Bureau?
The role of Accident Investigation Bureau is to investigate serious incidents and accidents that occur within Nigerian airspace and wherever Nigerian interests are affected. And the purpose of that is to prevent reoccurrence of same accident, and we do that by issuing safety recommendations. Serious incidents and accidents are within our purview. Minor incidents, we leave NCAA to handle them. So any serious accident involves maybe an aircraft. By the time it moves on its power for the purpose of flight, to the time any person boards it and comes out of that aircraft, any injuries or any to personnel or to the aircraft that will cause it to undergo any structural repair or major repair is regarded as an accident.
Nigeria at the time had an issue of a missing aircraft, the Beechcraft 1900D, which crashed around Obudu, and I know that you were on that investigative team. Can you share with us some of that experience?
Yeah, the Beechcraft was missing, and I might explain. Aircraft remains missing until when the search and rescue is terminated and the wreckage is discovered. Normally, you don't declare aircraft missing immediately. You declare there is a distress period, and that distress period is in line with the endurance of the aircraft. It's after the distress period that you now initiate search and rescue. Like the Beechcraft, it had an endurance of 5 hours, and the search and rescue started 2 hours after the endurance had elapsed.
In all of that, what was your role behind what people could not see?
We were looking at the routes the aircraft flew. We looked at so many scenarios. We also flew, replicated the routes on helicopter. Unfortunately, we didn't see the aircraft because we didn't have the appropriate equipment like infrared detectors that could have enabled us to spot the aircraft. Some of the responders that came with the type of aircraft we needed, unfortunately the equipment was not working until finally it was hunters that were operating within the region that discovered the aircraft. But we were also looking at all the scenarios available to us. But the hunters gave us the clue.
Right, let's come to the issue of the Malaysian MH370 flight. What are your initial thoughts about this mysterious air crash?
Mysterious indeed, because my initial thought that this would rewrite aviation and accident investigation in general, in that the normal tracking system for every aircraft that operates in the air route was not available because the systems were, this transponder was switched off and the ACAS system that was reporting was switched off. We were just lucky a bit that the engine, the Rolls-Royce engine, had data being remitted or transmitted to the Rolls-Royce facility, and that helped to confirm that the aircraft was flying even when the last waypoint was reached and then nothing was heard about the aircraft. What I feel now, even now, it is only through satellite and triangulation of waypoints, or not really waypoints, but the handshake, as they call it in the system, the aircraft was having with the satellite, that the satellite experts are now using to track the last waypoint where the aircraft ditched into the Indian Ocean.
Information that was also gathered tells us that some of the equipment on board was actually switched off. What do you think about that?
It's either the crew decided, normally it's not good to speculate, but in this situation, we're only rehearsing scenarios. I wouldn't say speculation, really. Switching off the transponder is a physical thing. The aircast is also a physical thing. It's a discrete operation where you have to switch off the system. The crew could do that either on their own intention, no one knows, criminal or otherwise, or they are being forced by somebody in the aircraft, either in an attempt to hijack the aircraft, they resisted or whatever. It's too early to speculate, but we still believe that as soon as the flight recorders are recovered, we should know exactly what went wrong.
Information also available in the public domain tells us that the aircraft actually made a detour. As an investigator, what comes to your mind?
In my opinion, as an investigator, it descended from 35,000 it was to 12,000. That created a scenario that it must have had sudden depressurization, because this is exactly the procedure. But I was surprised that it went up again to 35,000, which enabled it to reach the last waypoint as detected by the Inmarsat. That is the satellite that finally spotted where the aircraft ditched in the southern Indian Ocean. It's most likely somebody who understands the system must have been on board the aircraft.